Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to today's Partner Web Conference. This is Fast Track Dynamics 365 for Finance and Operations Tech Talk. Today's topic, GST and GTE Part 4, GSTR Reporting Capabilities. My name is Janice and I'm going to be your moderator today. We are broadcasting this web conference through Teams live events and the audio can be heard through your PC speakers. Today's web conference is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. Participation in the meeting today indicates your consent to being included in the meeting recording. Attendees may access the web conference recording within 5 business days. If you have questions for the presenters or need support, you can turn on the Q&A panel by selecting the question mark icon located in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. We do have presenters standing by to respond to your questions throughout the session. Now, on to the presentation. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Senior Program Manager Prabha Bhargava, and supporting Prabha on Q&A is Susan Zhang, who is a Senior Software Engineering Lead. So without any further delay, Prabha, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Janice. So today's session is GST return capabilities. This is the area where a lot of changes are coming up. And this is not stable since July 2017 when the return process was introduced. This process is still not stabilized at the government level as well, because government initially introduced the 9 returns. Out of that, only the government is only taking the GSTR-1, and other return are more or less in a suspended form, not applicable yet fully. So today I will take you through the return process which we have provided in Dynamics 365, as well as the new changes, because from 1st January, the government has made certain important announcement, and based on that, a lot of changes are expected in the return process. So I will take you through that as well. And currently, what are the gaps there, and why we are not doing it, because the government was introducing the new formats and we are focusing on that. So what would be the new format? What is the new things that I will discuss you as well and display you as well. So initial process, which is government provided, because this was the initial process which was changed during the last 2 years as well. So first, user any SSE has to upload the GSTR-1 return in which all the supplies detail. Outward supply detail has to be disclosed. Outward supplies means all registered, unregistered transactions, as well as export, deem export scenario, SEZ sales. So all these sort of a transaction has to be reported in GSTR-1. Then user, when upload the GSTR-1 detail, GSTR-2A return is generated. And this is 2A is a purchased details, which is based on the supplier details generated automatically, and the supplier has to download the 2A return, has to match with their purchase register detail, and if there are any discrepancies are there, has to be reject or accept some of the invoices, and based on that, do certain corrections in the form 2, GSTR2, because 2A and GST2 matching has to be done, and on that basis, correction has to be filed. Once the user modify the GSTR2, then GSTR1 is generated, and accepting and rejecting again the modification available in GSTR1A, the final GSTR1 return amended and stand as a final return which has to be filed by the user. So this process was initially introduced by the government, but somehow it didn't work. User only filed the GSTR-1 return. GSTR-2 return has to be supposed to be submitted, and based on that, return 3 was supposed to be auto-generated. But the government introduced the form 3B, and 3B, by the way, government is introducing this 3B form on every quarter basis. Means they say that we are extending the period of 3B for 3 months, and after that, every 3 months they are extending the time. But after the introduction of a new GSTR return, now from 1st July, government is saying they will remove this 3B return by the end of this year. So 3B return has to be filed. there is a no GSTR-2 has to be filed, and there is a no 3 return is generated so far. Only 3B is filed. Based on that, input credit is claimed, and 3 GSTR-1 basis, the invoice and liability is determined. So this is the original process, current process, and new process. So original return, every GSTR-1 has to be filed by 10th of the month. Current process is same. Still, you have to file the GSTR-1 by 10th. And going forward, you have to upload your invoices by 10th of the next month. So the difference is currently if you are filing a return for the particular month, suppose for April, you will upload only invoices till April. But going forward, you will upload invoices till 10th of May. So that is the difference which will be there. Again, a return is divided into a monthly return or a quarterly return. Current process is a monthly return, but going forward, the assessee, those whose turnover are below 5 crore, they need not to file a return on a monthly basis. They can file return on a quarterly basis. Then accepting, rejecting, pending, modify all invoices, ITC can be claimed by 15th of the particular next month. 15th of the month, you can file the GSTR-2. So currently GST-2 process has been scrapped and government is asking for 3B return only. Going forward, you have to do it by 20th of the next month. You have to accept, reject the invoices, pending invoices, that you have to do by 20th of the month. This is another one change. Then user has to file currently the user has to file the GSTR-3 return by 20th of the month. That was the originally planned. Currently, you have to file 3B by 20th of the month. And going forward, the auto-generated returns will be that will be generated, and you have to validate that return. Detail of sale and purchase will automatically summarize in a single return. You have to make a payment, and then file a monthly return by 20th of the next month. So this is the overall change government has made in the return process going forward. There are other changes as well, which I will discuss you and maybe let you know on that part, that how the government is introducing major changes in the return as well. So Dynamics AX, how we are handling this? Currently, we are handling this process in a two-way. One is we have provided a format of one of the GSP ClearTax. So ClearTax is one of the leading GSP in India. So we have provided their format for GSTR-1 and 2. In this case, the user will generate a GSTR-1 and 2 in the format provided by ClearTax, and then they will submit the forms to the ClearTax, and ClearTax will distribute and maybe regenerate certain files like B2B, B2C, export. They will divide your transaction in a different sheet and upload on the government portal. So you need not to do anything. You just have to generate a data in GSTR-1 and 2 format, which is a CSV format, and hand it over to the ClearTax, and there the ClearTax will take care of the further requirement. Like they will generate HSN summary for you, they will generate a document summary for any of the assessee. So that is the one thing which ClearTax will take care, and that is the one process, one option we provided to the customers. Then second option is the offline tool. So government introduced the offline tool 1 and offline tool GSTR-2. Offline GSTR-1 contains all the outward supply, and GSTR offline tool 2 contain all the inward supply details. So in GSTR offline tool, initially government introduced the GSTR-1, and after 1 year, government introduced the GSTR-2 return. And as you know that the government has suspended the GSTR-2, so we have not delivered the GSTR-2 offline tool. We only delivered the GSTR offline tool 1 through our system. So user can generate an offline tool where we provided around 10 CSV file will generate, and these CSV file will contain the B2B, B2C, and B2C, all the transactions, exports, transactions, exempted sales, and all this details will come based on the file format provided by the government. But again, government last year, end of the month, December, introduced few more changes in the GSTR offline tool. And these changes are, they have added the receiver name, they added the, for leasing transactions, there is some specific percentage of tax or input credit is allowed. So that effective rate of applicable rate of tax they have introduced, and that column has been also been provided in the GSTR offline tool. Along with that, they added various revised invoice, revised transactions detail. They added a one file for every revised transaction, every type of revised transaction. So we have not incorporated these changes because in last year, mid of the last year, government also announced that they will introduce the new GSTR return process, which was delayed because of the general election in India. Now these are, the government has uploaded the prototype of these returns on the government side. And these returns are supposed to be used on a trial basis from July to October quarter this year. So in view of that, we have not put much effort in the updating the GSTR-1 offline tool. Informations are generating, you can copy and paste these details from the generated files directly into the government file as well. That is the one workaround. And or you can make a modifications as we suggested, we guided, and we uploaded some video how you can extend these configurations for the GSTR-1 and GSTR-2 and offline tool, how you can make extensions there that we also published. So in the configurations, we have report configurations. Earlier you were using the version 12. Now the latest version is version 14. And there is a fixed hierarchy which you have to follow when you are importing these configuration in your system. So you have to follow this particular pattern. GSTR return version 14, then GST return model mapping, GSTR-1 14.27, this is the version of that, then GSTR-2 file. So in this sequence, you have to import the configuration in your system. And based on that, you have to enable these configurations, and then you can generate your return for the desired period. One important thing which I would like to highlight earlier before generating one return, one is in the GSTR-1 offline tool, the 10 files are generated, and we provided a one additional file where there is no HSN code is provided. All those transactions will flow into that particular additional file, and you can manually take action on those items. So that is the one additional sheet is there, which is not prescribed by the government. In addition to that, there are 10 CSV files which are as per the government format. There is a one file which government introduced very late, and that is the exempted sales, zero rated sales, and non-GST sales, where the transactions only summary has to be displayed. This was not initially introduced by the government, so we have not provided this particular sheet. And this sheet was introduced, I think, 6 or 8 months back by the government as well. So except this, everything is available for the return in the Dynamics 365 application. So I will take you through how you will import these return. So meanwhile this is opening, I will just add you certain things. So in the new return process, document summary will not be there. So the government has uh, government is going to remove the document
Prabha,
summary because
Prabha, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're just seeing your desktop screen. We don't actually see your demo.
no, you are not seeing that.
No, we're seeing your sign-on screen. There we go.
Now,
Perfect.
yeah, sure. Okay. So here in the application, you first, as I stated, you have to import the reporting configurations, and report configurations you have to go to the workspaces, and under the workspaces you have to go to the electronic reporting, and in reporting you have the reporting configuration, and here you import your file one by one. And first I import the GSTR return 14. So after this file, I will import the GSTR return model mapping file, which is the second file. I go to the Exchange tab here again. I click on the load XML file. I browse the file, and I go to my second file, which is this particular file, and I import this file as well. Now I import the GSTR-1 CSV file, which has the version 14.27.28. After this, I import the GSTR-2 CSV version file. Then we GSTR return government. And I'm telling you these sequence because I got a lot of queries regarding this. What would be the sequence? How to import it? Then I download the GSTR return government model mapping file. Or in the end, I upload GSTR-1 government CSV file. So all the imported file, you can see the government GSTR return government model files are here, and GSTR return model CSV1 GSTR2 file will be there. So after this, you have to go to your tax module, tax setup. And then you have to go to the configurations here. And under the report configurations, you have to select the report configurations here. You can see all the 3 imported files which you, all the 7 files you imported are divided into a GSTR-1, GSTR-2, and GSTR-1 government offline tool. You can click edit here, and then you can select the file here, GSTR-1. And then you have to save it. After doing this, you have to generate your return. You go to the again text module, and there under the sales tax report, you have the GER export to GSTR CSV file. You have to open this dialog box, and there you select a date range. And then you have to select the registration number for which you are looking to generate a GSTR report. Then you have to select the configuration. Suppose you are generating a GSTR-1, and then you have to give a path here, which could be .zip, and this has to be zip file only. And when you click OK, system will generate a file for you. Save it here. When I open it, you can see the 5 files are generated here. Invoice and bill of supply file. Another file is credit and debit note file. There is one more file, advance receipt file, and advance receipt adjustment file, and one is the refund file. So invoice and bill of supply file contains all the supply detail, outward supply detail you will find here. Invoice date, invoice number, customer name, customer place of supply, whether it's a goods or service. So all the details will be here, and it contains a lot of fields which actually take care of your sales register. So it contains all the details of your outward supply. The another is a debit and credit note, which this file contains the credit and debit note file detail. Another is a advance receipt, because government said that when you receive the advance from any customer, you have to deduct the tax on that. So those advance detail has to be disclosed in a separate sheet. Will automatically generate that sheet. And if you are adjusting the advance in the month in which you are giving, then there is no problem. But if the advance is given in the 1 month and adjustment is done against advance in another month, then adjustment sheet which is provided here will contain the information. And if you are refunding the advance back to the customer, then the refund sheet will have information. So these are the 5 files which is generated, and these 5 files are related to clear text format. So all these 5 files has to be submitted to the clear text, and they will file a return for you. Then maybe possibly we can also generate offline tool which contains some files as well. So I go back and generate a offline tool, and here I generate GST offline tool, and this will contain 10 files. So I open it, And you can see it contains the B2B file, B2CL file. B2CL means B2C customer file, where the large volume means more than 2.5 lakhs. B2C is small, where the transaction is less than 2.5 lakhs. CDNR is a credit note. Then there is a document summary is generated, HSN summary is generated, and then there is a export details as well generated. So you can see the all the files which prescribed here, except the exempt supply details are not there. So if there is a exempt non-GST sales, zero rated supply is there, that you have to fill manually going to the government site. Then you see HSN summary without inventory file is there, and this file is provided so that those transactions in which the HSN code is missing, you can manually take some action and filter out your transactions and file the details to the government. So that's why this is the additional file, which is not part of the government return, is provided here. Similarly, for GSTR-2, same 5 files will generate. One file will be related to again for the inward supply. Then remaining 4 files related to same credit note, debit note, advance. I generate as well this file. So similarly here, invoice and bill of supply file. All the 5 files will be generated. This will contain all the invoice detail here. And you can see here the invoice number, invoice date. Now we are getting a lot of query from the market where the people want to have an additional column here, and they can do additions of these columns. There will be another session within this week where you can see how you can add those columns here and can flow the information. So these reports are a configurable report where you can add the column by your own. And certain SSE want to add certain more information here, which you can do that. But one thing is, if you add any column which is not required by the government, so in the government offline tool, you cannot add a column because government has a specific number of the column. And if you do certain additions there, then it would be difficult for government to identify your information. So it is not advisable to add any column in the GST offline tool. You can add these columns into the GSTR-1 and GSTR-2 returns, where the clear text can ignore the columns information and they can pick the information required to file the return. So in GSTR-1 and 2, you are free to add any information, any columns, and it is advisable you can do that so that the reconciliation process becomes easier for you. But if you add these columns into the offline tool, then it is difficult to directly upload those files on the government portal. So now back to presentation, where I will. These are the files format which are there, which I even discussed with you. So now what is the new simplified GST return? And this is important because current process from 1st of November is going to be stopped and the new process will introduce. There are some more changes. Government is working dynamically. That is, the government is introducing the e-way bill. Government is introducing e-invoicing process. E-invoicing process is B2B transactions. It will be mandatory to generate a e-invoice, and that particular invoice will automatically flow in your return process. It will automatically upload on the government portal, and you need not to do anything on that. So all B2B transactions is going to be controlled by the government, and government will control your outward supply details from January 2020. But before that, we have to file the return, and there the government has done a massive change again. government is removing the multiple return and introducing a single return. There, the sales and purchase detail will come into a single return. For that, you have to file a return where the Annexure 1 and Annexure 2 is there. Annexure 1 contains all the details of your outward supply. Annexure 2 will contain all the details of inward supply there. So some of the salient feature of this particular new process will be the input tax credit on purchase and sales can be claimed on the pending action of supplier. Like if your supplier upload all the invoice detail, you can accept and reject those details, and based on the accepted and rejected, whatever number of invoices you accepted, your input credit will be determined. You can claim, your supplier can claim, upload the information till 10th of the next month, and then you can take action from 11th to 20th. You can reject or maybe accept or whatever the action you can take. So this is up to 20th. And whatever the details, like 10th means up till the 10th of the next month, the details will be uploaded and the credit will be available for those invoices uploaded on the government portal. Now, missing invoices, reporting of missing invoices also introduced by the government. Earlier, what was happening, if you have certain invoices, you will report missing invoices. Suppose April invoices, you can report in September. But those invoices will not relate back to April. So those invoices will be displayed and action needs to be taken in the month in which these invoices are reported. But going forward, if you suppose you have filed your April invoices in the month of September, then the respective invoices will be appearing in the April month and your April liability will be displayed, which you have to pay off along with the September liability. When you file your April invoices in September, your April and September liability will be determined. You will club the liability, make a payment to the government, but in the respective month, the liability will display. Then government is also introducing some amendment of the return process. If you have filed the return incorrectly, some invoices are incorrectly or missing invoices, you can do an amendment in the return, which is not available currently. Currently, you need not to file if there is no liability, nothing is there, you need not to file a nil return. But going forward, if there is no input credit, no liability, even then you have to file the nil return. So that is some of the major changes which are coming, already introduced by the government. Only the details format are awaited from the government side. These 3 months will be the trial period, and one has to check those formats and provide and they can provide a feedback to the government as well. So this will be the new filing process. This is a summarization of the process. If your turnover, if any business turnover is less than 5 crores, they can file a quarterly return, need not to file a monthly return. But if the turnover is more than 5 crore, you have to mandatory file the normal return, monthly return. You have no option to file the quarterly return. Even though you are eligible for quarterly return, you can file the return monthly. There is no restriction that you can do that. But if your turnover is less than 5 crore, you can opting for a quarterly return. In that case, you have to pay tax monthly. Your payment of tax will be monthly. You will file the return on a quarterly basis. So this particular diagram, you can see that opting the quarterly filing and the options are there. And these options are, you have a Sahaj return, you have a Sugam return, and you have the normal quarterly return. So any person, any company has to file a quarterly return. But if there are this Sugam and Sahaj return, which are very short, like one-pager returns, but there you cannot claim the ITC on a missing invoices. And that would be the disadvantage there, because if you opt for a Sahaj and Sugam return, you cannot claim the input credit for the missing invoices. So this is a simplified process. Government is going to gradually doing the simplification of a return filing process, and it will impact the the filing in the to a application as well, and where you have to be a little bit patient as well, because you have to keep some patience so that we can incorporate some changes and can provide some details as well. Now you can see this return process I stated, annexure 1, and this annexure 1 is not much different of today what we generate a GSTR-1, almost similar, but there are certain changes which government is bringing, like you have to report the inward supply and the reverse charge. Earlier, these inward supply detail has to be disclosed in the GSTR-2, but now it will come in annexure 1. So that is the one change which they have introduced here. They have removed the outward supply, they have removed the document summary detail. HSN summary, government is still saying the four digits, but the discussion is on where the government can ask for a 6-digit HSN code as well. And HSN summary will be generated by the portal. So HSN summary detail is need not to be uploaded, but there is no clarity on that whether the HSN summary will be generated by the government portal. Government also stated that government will issue an offline tool, new format, and these formats, along with in the format, government will also provide a auto reconciliation mechanism where your purchase details can be matched with the government detail, and discrepancies can be highlighted by the government tool. So as per the government clarifications on the notifications, government will provide a reconciliation tool as well. In annexure 2, you can accept and reject the pending action is there. As I stated, you can do a multiple payment of multiple liability once you have uploaded, because government is now saying you can upload the invoices on a daily basis, and once you have uploaded, your liability will be determined. If you suppose you are not filing your return, but you have uploaded your invoice detail, government will determine your liability and ask you and force you to make a payment, do a payment. So it is not like that if you are not filing a return, your liability will be skipped. This will not happen, and you have to pay your liability. Similarly, if you have not uploaded the invoice detail, but the buyer want to take an input credit, so government is allowing to claim that, but there is a time period under which the invoice has to be uploaded by the supplier. And if the invoices are not uploaded, and when these invoices are uploaded, you have to do a reversal as well for the credit which you have already claimed. So those are the certain things which government is introducing to make the reconciliation process easier and uniform and maybe universal across the country. And then based on the annexure 1 and annexure 2, your return will generate. Most of the information will auto-populate, but still there will be few information which you can provide manually there to the government. And the invoice declaration for like a small traders, they have to make a payment on a monthly basis, and those liability will be on a self-declaration basis. They have to determine their liability, and the government will trust them and accept whatever the payment they will make. So this is a simplification of a process. Another important thing is, you know that there are a lot of returns earlier introduced by the government, like a GSTR-4 is for a composition vendor, GSTR-5 for a non-resident taxpayers. There is a GSTR-6 ISD, where the input service distribution return has to be filed. Then there is GST-7, which is for TDS, GSTR-8 for TCS. Then there is an annual return process as well. GSTR-9, 9A, and 9B and 9C returns are there. So many returns are there. So government actually removing the GSTR-6, GSTR-7, GSTR-8, 4, 5, all these returns are going to be merged with the normal return. So that means the information related to TDS, information related to ISD will be part of the annexure 1 and 2. So that is one of the important things. These returns will vanish, and these informations by default will be available in annexure 1 and 2. Now, this is the comparison of various return profile for new simplified GST process. Normal return has to be filed by mandatory if the turnover is more than 5 crores. If it is less than, then even the person can select any of the return, they can file that. They can opt for a monthly and they can go for a quarterly as well. Sahaj, if your turnover is less than 5 crore, you can go for a Sahaj and Sugam return. And there only you have to disclose the B2C and non-e-commerce related transaction. So type of sale should be non-e-commerce transaction. If you have a e-commerce transaction, you have to file the normal return there. Then filing frequency, monthly, quarterly, and quarterly. The payment frequency will be monthly. Even though whatever mechanism you follow, you have to make payment to the government on a self-declaration basis, self-assessment basis, you have to make a payment to the government. Then return upload will be for monthly for B2B. Even if you select the normal returns there, and ITC of the missing supplies. So government first 6 months, I think, for the introduction of this, government will allow you to claim the credit on the invoices which are not reported by the supplier. You can disclose those invoices and claim the credit. But this government will allow only for 6 months. And after that, the normal process will be there. You cannot report those invoices missing on the portal. So that will not be available after that. Now, major impact, what would be the impact? First of all, the new GSTR offline tools will be released by the government. Then currently there is no reconciliation requirement. So going forward, you have to do a reconciliation of your purchase book with the supplier details so that you can claim the maximum ITC. If there is no reconciliation, certain transactions are mismatched, you cannot claim the credit of those transactions, and those transactions will be claimed in the next month. So that is the one thing. Second thing, if suppose invoices are reported late, if you report your April invoices in the month of September, then your liability of April will also be arises there. And input credit, your buyer cannot claim the input credit. And again, after a particular threshold, if you government see that you are not paying tax properly, you are not disclosing your invoices detail appropriately, then government will not allow you after a particular threshold to display your transaction on the portal. So your receiver, the person who is supplying you and wanted to take a credit, your buyer will not able to take the input credit because the transaction will not display on the government portal. So that is the one thing which government is going to control. Government will have a full control on your supplies, and they will put a control so that your transaction will not display. And when your transaction will not display, your receiver will not able to claim the credit, and they will approach you, and your business will suffer badly on that. So all these controls going to introduce in the coming months. Reconciliation process will become a little bit complex further because government is providing a lot of options to file the amendment of return, missing invoices. So if supplier does not upload after 2 months or quarter, then invoice-wise missing detail has to be disclosed in the return. Government is saying if your supplier doesn't upload their 2 months detail, then all the missing invoices detail has to be declared in the final return separately. And if the supplier upload in the later month, then the ITC equivalent, because that has to be reversed. Because if you have claimed the credit on the basis of missing invoices, and once the invoice equivalent, when you invoices are uploaded, the ITC equivalent to the missing invoices you have to reverse. So those things will come into the picture, and this will make your reconciliation process a little bit complex there. So these are the advanced things which one has to take care. And in terms of application, currently, if you are generating a GSTR-1 and GSTR-2 based on the clear text format, clear text will take care of the, with the current format, they can take care of your requirement with the government in the new, even as per the new requirement as well. So those who are following the clear text format and filing the return through a clear text, they need not to do any action so far immediately, but definitely they have to incorporate some changes in the business practice going forward. Now, this is the government has uploaded the new prototype of a new format. I will show you as well, so that you will have an idea how the government is introducing. So government has introduced on the GST portal a new prototype for the return. You can go through it. So this will give you an idea of what changes are going to come. And if you have any suggestion to the government has also uploaded a template which you can fill and provide it to them, so that possibly they will make a modifications in the prototype and it will make the return filing process easier for everyone. So if you see here, again, the government has provided instructions and provided the new prototype as well. We can proceed to prototype as well, where the government has provided, you have to fill those basic information. And after that, you have options to provide a prepare offline and open, you can through a JSON file as well. So government will providing two options. I click on the prepare offline, and here government is providing various files, section-wise file. If you see the draft format of the return, there are 3A, 3B, 3C, all different tables are there. And for different table like B2C transactions, B2B transactions, export transactions, SEZ transactions, DEM export transactions, all transactions have a separate tables there. So these tables you can upload here, and then these details will come here. So what government will do, all different tables, separate CSV files, and you can upload these files there to get the maximum benefit of the information. Minimum effort you have to put from your side, and you will get a maximum benefit of the government portal, where government is providing a lot of facilities. So here you can select a different states, and you can file a different file of returns. So you can see here different details. And now one thing is, as I stated you, a reverse charge detail has to become into the return one. So there all the liability will come there. Along with that, the import detail and SEZ detail will also come into the return one. So those are the few changes which is coming there, and which you have to have a look there. Also, the ISG supply details will go there. Again, the GST TDS and GST TCS related transactions detail will be there. So no additional return related information you have to file. One thing which is very important here, the annual return process will remain same as indicated by the government. So if you have a GSTR-9, 9A, 9B and 9C returns are there, where the 9A return is filed by the composition vendor, 9B return is filed by the e-commerce operators, and 9C return where you have to do your account audited, there you have to file the reconciliation process, and these are the annual returns. So if you see in our dynamics, when we generate a return, you can provide a time range, like you can provide a date range there, and there if you select the 1 year frame, the system will generate you all the transactions for a 1 year perspective, and then based on that, you can provide those details to ClearText. They can file your annual return as well. So there is no need to have a separate format for annual return, But we will see if the government introduce some changes in the annual return and they make it annual return process also automated, then we will look into that, how we can provide a features for you to file the annual return as well. But currently it seems that there is no additional requirement for annual return. So this is the overall picture of GST. So thank you. So this covered the high level process of GST, and coming months will be a little challenging in terms of filing of the return, because you have to acquaint yourself with the new process where the government is inviting you to try these prototype as well. So if you have any questions, you can forward me, you can send me as well, or you can put on chat window where we can respond on that as well. Thank you, Janice. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Prabhat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any questions, go ahead and pop those into the Q&A panel, and Prabhat and Susan will address those as they come in. In the meantime, I'd like to bring your attention to a link that I posted in the Q&A panel. That's a link to a short survey for this web conference, and we ask that you please take a moment before logging out to access it. We hope that you found today's information helpful, and if you enjoyed today's web conference, have feedback on how we can provide you with a better event, or you would like to submit topics for future web conferences, this is your chance to let us know. We do appreciate the time you take to do this, and thank you for your support. I'm going to go ahead and check the Q&A panel to see if there are any questions that have come in. I have not seen any at this moment, so that is going to conclude today's web conference. The recording and a copy of the presentation deck will be available within 5 business days. Please look for an email from Learning Media that will include details on how to access them. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenters, Prabhat and Susan, and thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us today.